My name is Don Garnier. I'm with a company called Blecon, and today I'll be talking about how Bluetooth technology can be used in medical combination products, and specifically how it can be a great tool in your arsenal to collect very high quality data in clinical studies and trials. So Bluetooth is not new in the world of medical devices. You've probably come across a few yourself. If you look at the sort of figures we're seeing in the market, the Bluetooth SIG, which is the organization which is creating the Bluetooth specification, estimates that by 2029 we'll see roughly 60 million devices in the home health monitoring segment being shipped annually by 2029. And they're seeing sort of health, medical devices as a key area of growth. And in a world of things like auto-injectors or inhalers, Bluetooth is a technology that comes up very often when those devices are connected. So why is Bluetooth such a great choice for these types of devices? Well, it's a massively successful technology in the consumer space. So other industries get to leverage the great economies of scale that are reached because we're like looking at something like more than 5 billion Bluetooth-enabled devices being shipped annually in the world, which is a huge number and on a really high growth scale. It's also in the name, like it's a very low power technology, it doesn't use much energy to work, like Bluetooth low energy. So if you have a space constrained device, which is battery operated, then once again, it's a very attractive technology. It's very small, like it doesn't take much additional space on your device to add it. If you look at the coin I've got on the right side of my slide, there's a tiny chip next to it, and it gives you like the sort of like that size comparison between a Bluetooth chip and like a real device, so you don't need to redesign your device entirely to fit Bluetooth connectivity inside. It requires very low or no additional infrastructure to use. Why is that? If I have like a Bluetooth device in my hand, it can connect through my laptop, through my mobile phone, through all those devices which are already Bluetooth enabled, and no other technology can claim that it's in virtually 100% of laptops and smartphones. And finally, one thing which is very attractive is that Bluetooth is global technology. It operates in a radio band that doesn't require any licensing wherever you are in the world. So my device can be shipped to any geography without any hardware changes. Now, if we look at the world of clinical trials more specifically, we did a bit of analysis based on the data set at clinicaltrials.gov, and just looking at the sort of like keywords that are mentioned in various studies, you can see that today almost or like over 1 in 1,000 studies mention the word Bluetooth, and you can see the trend is only going up. So it's clearly a very well-used technology already in that space. So now if we look at combination products which combine a medical device and a drug in a single product, why is this so attractive for this type of products? First, it lets you, when you're running your study, monitor and manage the adherence to the protocol that you've laid out, especially in a world where studies are becoming more distributed with things like personalized medicine or like rare diseases where you can't just recruit a cohort in a small geography. You can really increase your data granularity, like to the level of each individual dosing event, and get very accurate data, and also know what was happening when a dose was delivered, for instance. You can remove like a lot of manual steps for data collection, which can be very error prone, and all of that really reduces data quality issues. So you can see why that's very attractive. Of course, using Bluetooth in those type of studies will also bring a range of challenges. And that's what I'll talk about now. You've all been faced with that thing called Bluetooth pairing, which can be a major element of friction when setting up a Bluetooth device. And that's fine if you're tech savvy, or you might be able to do that without thinking about it. But when you're rolling out devices to participants or to clinical staff who are very busy, then that can add a lot of complexity, like in the sort of like protocol that they have to follow, and all of them might make errors or not or give up entirely, which obviously is a bad outcome. If you're looking at an investigational site as well, where like a clinician is trying to associate devices with specific patient, then that's another step on top of pairing, which adds like more friction and more potentially more errors that can be made. If you're using Bluetooth as a data transmission technology, you need to be sure that it's going to work in terms of getting the data to your platform in a reliable way. So there's a range of data quality issues that you have to address and risks. First of all, you're going through your data might be hopping from a device through a mobile phone to a cloud platform, and that mobile phone is not something you necessarily control. So you can add like a lot of issues where data can be lost or corrupted, and you need to be able to mitigate that. A typical use case, so something that happens quite often in Bluetooth-enabled products is that your device sends data to a mobile phone, and then the mobile phone loses its cellular connection, so the data is never sent to the cloud, but your device thinks that the data got there. So you lose some records, which is obviously like a big problem. Finally, Bluetooth doesn't give you a straightforward way to get access to reliable time on the device and synchronize time between a global source and your specific device. So obviously, if you're trying to maintain an event journal, and you will need to build on top a way of getting like a very accurate time that you can use to track those events accurately. Two areas that are also of concern if you're integrating Bluetooth in your device, and they are sort of related. Obviously, you will have to abide by medical device regulations, and when you're adding connectivity technology to your medical device, of course, you will have to integrate a lot of additional software into the device, and that additional software might be third-party software, which was probably not developed according to the standards that you would expect for medical software. So you're integrating all that software of unknown provenance, aka SOUP, that you don't control. So you need to add a lot of risk controls around those to make sure that they won't potentially interfere with the medical function of the device. And a related issue is that you're opening yourself to a big cybersecurity risk as well. Because now your device is connected, you have all that additional complexity which is hard to audit, and you can see that the regulators have really caught up with that and will ask you to show that you can mitigate that cybersecurity risk. So at Blecon, we developed basically those building blocks on top of Bluetooth to address all those problems and help product companies build a solution that lets them collect data securely and reliably from devices to their cloud platform. And so we've built a lot of building blocks on top of it to securely so that you can get data you can trust. The first thing we looked at is eliminating the pairing requirement. What does that mean? Is that any mobile phone or laptop or gateway which runs the Blecon gateway software, can talk to any device. And so you don't have any steps, any provisioning steps to use a specific gateway, which means that a participant can be at home and data is flowing through their mobile phone and they haven't done anything for that to happen. Then they walk into an investigational site and maybe the tablet that is in the room is transparently like uploading data as well, and there was no additional step at this stage as well. We've like sort of changed the security model to a model where the trust relationship is between the device and the cloud platform. So even in terms of mitigating cybersecurity risks, an attacker who could connect to your device won't be able to extract data or inject fake data into the system. Something else we've looked at as well is building a strong cryptographically secure identity in all of these devices, which gives you like two things. It gives you a way of deriving other identities, like such as like a UDI that can link strongly with the device identity, but also lets you, in a GDPR compliant way, link, like a device to the specific patient by having not maintaining a lot of different identities that can add errors. We've also make sure that every device that gets connected, whenever a device gets connected, it gets its clock synchronized with the global network time. And so you can build that sort of event record log that on the device that can be transmitted to the cloud, and then you get an explicit acknowledgement for each record which was successfully received. So you know like when you can safely erase data on the device because it's made it to your cloud data platform. Something else that we've looked at, which is relevant in the world of the safety aspects and the regulatory aspects related to medical devices, is that our device, being like connectivity software, can run in its own separate execution environment, and then you can like communicate with it from your sort of medical software application, which can live in its own execution environment as well. Which means that sort of like things that can go wrong can be you can add like a lot of risk controls around that because the interface is very basic and simple. So even if like the Blecon software is goes away or something like that, it won't stop the function. You can show it won't stop the functionality of your own safety critical medical software. We also support firmware updates. So if you identify a security vulnerability into your code, you can patch it very quickly. It also lets you iterate faster in the early stages of product development. So what are the key benefits from this? Well, it's really a sort of what I would say called time to market accelerator. You can focus on what matters, which is the medical function of your product, and not on the connectivity issues. So all of that means that you can like get to a point where you can get your first participant in your clinical study in and getting started faster than had you taken on all those issues yourself. The second aspect, obviously, is that your data is much more trustable. You can really look at that data and know that it went through integrity checks and that the device from which it was sourced was authenticated and that the data was encrypted and that no one could mess with it. So really mitigates the risk of like data issues and fraud. Finally, from a human factor and user experience standpoint, you can really reduce errors and friction, which will enhance like acceptance from both the participants and the clinical staff, because it won't get in the way. Our company has a booth just like behind us at booth F33. So if that's interested you, please come and say hi. We've also published a white paper that you can find on our website, which goes into more details and focuses a bit more on the sort of regulatory approach and frameworks that this solution addresses. Thank you very much.